everyone. I'm Melissa here, and welcome to your Melissa Moment. Hello, everyone. Melissa here. Welcome to your Melissa Moment, and welcome to Turn the Page Thursday. We are reading Stephen King's You Like It Darker, a book of short stories. We are currently reading Danny Coughlin's Bad Dream, which ironically is not a short story. It is going on and on and on. If you've missed up till now, go back and listen or watch the first few videos of this short story, because otherwise it's not going to make sense. If you're following along, last Thursday it started to get a little interesting. Ella's starting to realize, ooh, maybe my partner is a dirty cop. So she's kind of looking at that, which kind of throws a little bit of some interesting stuff in the mix. But it's still, I think, dragging a little bit. So let's jump into it, and hopefully something really good happens here. We still have a long way to go in the story, though, you guys. Like, it's going to take forever. Also, my phone is on. It may ring. I'm waiting for a phone call. So hopefully we can get done today's Turn the Page Thursday before that happens. But if not, just be aware of that. Okay, let's jump right into it and see what happens. Back in her car, with the air conditioning on high, Davis listens to it again. Then she turns off her phone and stares through the windshield at Cathcart's dusty Main Street. She's thinking of an arson case she worked with Jalbert in the spring. It was in a rural town called Lindsburg. On their way to the site, they passed a field where a few cows were grazing. Ella, riding shotgun that day, counted them aloud, just for something to do. 7, she said. 28, Jalbert replied, with no pause. She gave him a questioning look, and he told her 1 to 7 added up to 28. He said adding inclusively passed the time and also kept him mentally sharp. She thought her partner might have a little touch of OCD. She'd even looked up the name of that particular compulsion on her phone, then dismissed it. Everyone had their little tics, didn't they? She herself couldn't go to sleep until all the dishes were washed and put away, but she had never considered counting them. Now, sitting in her car, she thinks of Peter Anderson's outgoing message. 5 choices, and when you added 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the total was 15, she says. It was him. Fuck. She sits a while longer, trying to convince herself that she's wrong. She can't do it. Absolutely can't. So she calls Troop C of the Kansas Highway Patrol, identifies herself, and asks for a callback from Trooper Colton as soon as possible. While she waits for the callback, which she dreads, she asks herself what she's going to do with what she knows. Danny gets all the empty boxes he wants at Manitou Fine Liquors. He also gets a 5th of Jim Beam. At 4 o'clock that afternoon, the boxes are piled up in his bedroom, and the bottle of Beam is on the kitchen table. He sits there, looking at it with his hands folded in front of him. He's trying to think of the last time he drank whiskey. Not on the night he got arrested for standing on Margie's lawn and shouting at her house. That night, he'd been beered up. He downed almost a case of Coors between Manitou and Wichita. He could still remember vomiting it up into the stainless steel toilet of the cell they put him in, then going to sleep, not on the bunk bed, but underneath it, as if sleeping on concrete was some kind of penance. He decides the last time he got into the high-tension stuff was fishing with Deke Mathers. The two of them were so loaded they didn't find their way out to Route 327 until it was almost dark. By then, both of them badly hungover and promising never again, never again. He didn't know how that had worked out with Deke. Danny had lost touch with him since moving to Oak Grove, but he hadn't touched brown liquor since. Not any beer for the last couple of years either. Jim Beam won't solve his problems, he knows that. They'll still be there when he gets up on Tuesday morning, only with a hangover to add to his misery. But what it would do is to blot out DJ's sad face, at least for a while. She said, "What if Ma decides she wants Bobby for a boyfriend again?" She said, He can't fix the car if it busts. She said, and somehow this was the worst of all, God knew why, I don't want cake. I don't care if I ever have cake again. That dream, he says, that fucking goddamn dream. Only the dream isn't really the problem. Jalbert is the problem. Jalbert has sprayed his goddamn life with the version of Agent Orange. He's trying to poison everything, including a little girl who thought her life was pretty much okie dokie. Her mom finally had a boyfriend Darla Jean liked, who didn't shout and send her from the table without her supper. Jalbert. All Jalbert. Danny unscrews the cap, tips the bottle toward himself, takes a long sniff. He remembers how he and Deke Matherd laughed there on the riverbank, everything fine. Then he remembers how they cursed as they shoved through that final blackberry tangle to the road, getting all scratched up and sweating into those scratches, making the sting even worse. Jalbert would love you to get drunk, he thinks. Get drunk and do something stupid. He goes into the bathroom, pours the whiskey into the toilet, and flushes it away. Then he starts packing his clothes into boxes. He can't beat Jalbert except by leaving, so that's what he's going to do. He'll get to spend time with Stevie. Who knows where everything is in the table Mesa King supers. As for Darla Jean, she'll have to find her way. In the end, most kids do, so he tells himself. I'm not angry, Jalbert thinks as he drives back to his hotel in Lyons, just upset. The meeting in Wichita didn't go well. He argued for taking Coughlin in. 48 hours, he said. We can call it protective custody. Just let me sweat him. I'll break him down. He's ready, I know it. Protective custody for who? That was Tishman, the director in charge. Neville, the assistant director, sat next to him nodding like a puppet. The killer? Coughlin doesn't claim to know him. He only claims to know where the body was because of the dream he had. Jalbert asked those in attendance, including Ramsey, the stolid, closed-mouthed detective from Oklahoma, if any of them believe Coughlin's dream story. The unanimous belief was that no one did. Coughlin was the killer, but with no confession and no physical evidence tying him to the crime, and so on and so on. Jalbert needs to do some counting. That would settle him. With a clear head, he'll be able to decide on his next move. When he gets back to the hotel, he'll run the chairs, take a shower, and call Ella. Maybe she's picked up a lead at the trailer park, or possibly Coughlin has given something away, but probably not. He's a sly one. Got rid of the drugs, didn't he? But he's paying a price. He's out of a job, and his neighbors have turned against him. He's got to be angry, and angry people make mistakes. But I'm not angry, just upset. And why? Because he did it, and he'll do it again. Don't they see that, he asks, and bangs on the steering wheel. Are they really that blind? Answer, they are not. Every video feed between Arkansas City, where Miss Yvonne spent her last night, and the Gas and Go, where she was last seen, has been checked. Several Tundras were spotted, but none were white, and all were newer than Danny's. He used a different vehicle when he took her, Jalbert thinks. That's why we didn't find any DNA or other evidence in his truck. Clever, so clever. Jalbert began. Ella did. Too, by believing that Danny wanted either to be a media star or to confess. Ella may still believe those things, but Jalbert no longer does. It's a game to him. He's sticking it in our faces and saying, prove it, arrest me, ha ha, you can't, can you? You know my story is bullshit and there's not a damn thing you can do about it. Jalbert bangs the steering wheel again. 15 years ago, even 10, it was a different playing field with different rules. Coughlin would have been in a little room with Jalbert and Davis, and they'd sweat him until he gave up. 10 hours, 12, it wouldn't matter. Turn and turn about, whap, whap, whap. They were advocates for poor Miss Yvonne and all the girls that might follow her. They'd go at him tirelessly in a room with no clock. You have to be hungry. Give us something and we'll send someone out for a chow. You like Burger King? There's one right up the street. Whopper, fries, chocolate shake. How does that sound? At least tell us when you buried her. Day or night? No? Okay. Let's start again from the beginning. Like that. Jalbert begins counting barns and silos and farmhouses to pass the time. He's up to 23, which added in arithmetical progression totals 276 when his phone rings. It's Ella. He expects her to ask how it went in Wichita, but she doesn't. Instead, she asks when he expects to get back to his hotel. Her voice is clipped and tight. She hardly sounds like herself. Could it be excitement because she has something? Just a thread, that's all I ask. We'll follow it. We'll follow it all the way through hell if that's what it takes. I should be there in 40 minutes. What have you got? I'm on the road for Manitou now. I'll meet you there. Come on, give. He runs his hand through the peninsula of his hair. Did Coughlin tell you something? Not on the phone. Make that half an hour, Jalbert says, and speeds up. Ella is waiting in the lobby when Frank comes in. She dreads the impending conversation, but will do what has to be done. It would be worse if she liked Frank. She's tried to do that and failed, but until the last couple of days, she respected him. In a way, she respects him still. He is fiercely dedicated to the job, to getting justice for the woman he calls poor Miss Yvonne. It's just that his dedication has crossed a line, and when it did, it turned into something else. He gives her a smile, showing those eroded teeth that really need caps. The thick triangle of his widow peak is disarranged, as if he's been running a hand through it, perhaps pulling at it. Let's go to my so-called suite. It's not great. The only view is of the parking lot, but it fits the expense account. Ella follows. She doesn't know why he's formed such a fierce connection with the Wicker Girl. Or is it Coughlin he's made a connection with? But she knows it's put pressure on some fundamental crack in his personality. What was once a hairline is now a fissure. He unlocks the door. She goes in ahead of him and stops, looking around the suite's boxy little living room. What's up with the folding chairs? Nothing. Nothing. He goes to the two in the living room and claps them shut. He goes into the bedroom and comes back with two more. He leans them against the wall beside the TV. I have to take those back to the business center. Been meaning to. Want a soft drink? There's plenty in the minibar. No, thank you. Is it Coughlin? Did he let something slip? I didn't talk to him. Jalbert frowns. I specifically asked you to re-interview him, Ella. Then the frown lightens. Was it Becky, the girlfriend? Or the daughter? Did she? Listen, Frank. There's no easy way to say this. You have to step away from the case. That's for starters. He's given her a quizzical little smile. He has no idea what she's talking about. Then it's time for you to retire. You've got your 20 years, 20 and more. I don't. And get some professional help. The little smile is still there. You're talking nonsense, Ella. I'm not going to retire. Not even thinking about it. What I'm going to do, and what we're going to do, is collar Danny Coughlin and put him behind bars for the rest of his life. She's surprised by fury, but later she'll think it was there all along. What you're doing is risking any chance we have of making a case against him. You outed him to plain truth, Frank. The smile is fading. What gave you that crazy idea? It's not crazy, it's a fact. You outed him and you outed yourself with your counting thing. At the end of the message you left, you said 15. It had nothing to do with anything, except when you add the number of choices on the menu together, 1 to 5, you get 15. Now the smile is gone. On the basis of one number, you jump to the conclusion that sometimes a random number pops out of your mouth Half the time, you don't even know you're doing it. That's what happened on the recording Peter Anderson played for me. I heard it. You can hear it too if you want to. I've got it on my phone. His lips part in a grin, showing those eroded teeth. He grinds them, she thinks. Of course he does. I wouldn't want to report you for these false accusations, Ella. You've been a good partner. Couldn't ask for a better one. But if you persist, I'll have to. There's no way you could have recognized the voice that made that call. That anybody could recognize it. Because it was disguised by some gadget. Yes, it was. But how do you know that? He blinks, and there's the briefest of hesitations. Then he says, because I asked him. Anderson. I interviewed him. Not at any time when I was with you. No, from here, on the phone. Will he confirm that? I'm confirming it to you right now. Nevertheless, I'll ask him, if I have to. And we both know what he'll say, don't we? Jalbert doesn't reply. He's looking at her as if she were a stranger, and probably right now that's just how he feels. She points to the chair. Do you count those? Or maybe set them up and count the steps between them? I think you better leave. I see your lips moving sometimes when you're counting. There's even a name for it. Arithmomania. Get out. Think about what you're saying and we'll talk when you're not all wound up. Davis is suddenly too tired to stand. Who knew how exhausting confrontations of this sort could be? She sits and puts her open purse on the little desk. Her phone is inside. Recording. You also planted drugs in Coughlin's truck at the high school. He recoils as if she had struck at him with her fist. That's an outrageous accusation. It was outrageous that you did it. Coughlin got suspicious when the kid who works with him saw you park in the back instead of in the faculty lot. Coughlin searched his truck, found the dope, and turned it over to me. What? When? I met him at a coffee shop in Great Bend after the meeting where he challenged us to arrest him. Which we could not do then and can't now, as I'm sure you found out in Wichita. He's a liar, and you went behind my back. Thanks, partner. She flushes. She can't help it. Jalbert is running his hands through his thick mat of receding hair. If there were drugs in that truck, he planted them himself. He's sly. Oh boy, is he ever. And you actually believed his story? Jalbert shakes his head. His tone is pitying. But what she sees in his eyes is bare, unvarnished fury. Be careful of this man, she thinks. Danny was right about that. I had no idea you were so credulous, Ella. He has convinced you of his dream story, too. Are you on his side now? I've spoken to Trooper Colton. That stops him. Coughlin saw his name tag. I called Colton and told him I knew who set up the plant and the search. I said I'd keep his participation quiet if he told me what his role was. He did. Jalbert goes to the window, looks out, then comes back to her. I didn't want him for the dope. I wanted him for Miss Yvonne. I wanted him locked up so I could turn the screws. Where's the dope now? In a safe place. The last question is a tiny bit frightening. She doesn't really believe Frank would hurt her, but he's not right. There's no question of that. He goes to the window again and comes back again. His lips are moving. He's counting. Does he even know he's doing it? She doesn't think so. He killed her, raped her and killed her. Coughlin, you know he did. She thinks of Coughlin asking her about her cross. Did she wear it just for show, or was she a believer? Then he asked her if she could believe in God, but not his dream. Frank, listen carefully. In this context, It no longer matters whether he killed her or not. Here in this room, all that matters is you telling me you're going to write an email to Don Tishman saying you need to take a leave of absence for personal reasons and you're planning to retire. Never! He's clenching and unclenching his fists. Either that or I go to Tishman and tell him what you've done. The call to Anderson might not get you fired, but the dope thing certainly will. More, it will muddy up any case we might be able to make against Danny Coughlin so completely that even that small-town lawyer Ball could get him off. You do that? You did it, Davis cries, standing up. You screwed the case. You screwed yourself and you screwed me as well. Look at the mess you made. We can't let him get away, Jalbert says. He's looking around the room, eyes not settling anywhere. He did it. If you believe that, don't fuck up any chance we have of nailing him. I'm leaving now. It's a big decision, I know. Sleep on it. Sleep, he says, and laughs. Sleep? I'll call you tomorrow morning, see how you feel. But the choice is pretty clear, it seems to me. Step down, and we still have a chance of making a case against Coughlin. There'll be no nasty mess about planted evidence, and you get to keep your pension. Do you think I care about my pension? He shouts. Cords strand out on his neck. Ella keeps her eyes locked on his. She's afraid to take them away. You might not care about it now in the heat of the moment, but you will later, and I know you still care about Yvonne Wicker. Think carefully, Frank. I'll let this slide if you step away, but it all comes out if you don't. And oy vey the stench. She walks to the door. It's one of the longest walks of her life because she keeps expecting him to come after her. He doesn't. In the hallway with the door closed, she lets out a breath she didn't know she was holding. She starts to zip her purse closed when from behind her comes a crash. Something just broke. Does she want to know what? She doesn't. Ella walks slowly and steadily down the hall. In her car, she lowers her head and cries. There was a moment there, just a moment, when she really thought he might kill her. Franklin Jalbert has stayed in hundreds of motel rooms during his career as an investigator, crisscrossing Kansas from north to south and east to west. Almost all of those rooms come with plastic glasses for little baggies, mostly printed with slogans like, "Sanitize for your safety." The glasses on top of the minibar of his little suite in the Celebration Center just happen to be real glass. He registers the weight of the one he picks up before it's too late to stop, and he probably wouldn't have stopped anyway. He hurls it against the door Davis has just left, and it shatters. Better the glass than her, he thinks. Not that I would ever hurt her. Of course not. She may be a traitor, but they put in some good time together, caught some bad boys and bad girls. He taught Ella, and she was eager to learn, only she hasn't learned enough, it seems. She doesn't understand how dangerous Coughlin is. He wonders if perhaps after their traitorous meeting at the coffee shop, they might have gone somewhere else. Maybe to a motel? No, she'd never. Not with the prime suspect in a murder case. Never? Really? Never? Coughlin's not a bad-looking man, and he has a wide-eyed, I'm telling the truth look about him. Some might find that appealing. Is it really beyond the realm of possibility that she and he, maybe kind of a weird twist on the Stockholm Syndrome? In spite of her backstabbing, he can't believe it of her. And never mind Ella. She's out of the picture. The question is, what's he going to do about Coughlin? The answer seems to be nothing. She's put him in a box. The damn spineless trooper had to spill his guts, didn't he? The idea of retiring, as she suggested, is awful. Like being marched toward the edge of a cliff. He can't imagine stepping off into the void. He has no hobbies except for the daily newspaper crossword and the occasional jigsaw puzzle. His vacations have consisted of aimless wanderings in a rented camper, seeing sights he doesn't care about and snapping pictures he rarely looks at later. Each hour feels 3 hours long. Retirement would multiply those long hours by 1,000, then 2,000, then 10,000, each hour haunted by thoughts of Danny Coughlin looking at him across the table with that wide-eyed, wouldn't-hurt-a-fly gaze, saying, "Arrest me. You can't, can you?" Thoughts of Danny Coughlin stopping in some other state for another young girl with her thumb out and a pack on her back. And what can I do? Well, he can do one thing. Pick up that broken glass. He brings over a wastebasket, kneels down, and starts doing that. Pretty soon he's up to 57 shards, 1,653 when added in progression. I wouldn't have hurt her. Absolutely not. But there was 1 second. Sharp pain needles the ball of his thumb. A bead of blood appears. Jalbert realizes he's lost count. He debates starting again from 1. Danny Coughlin's last week in Manitou, Kansas is both sad and a relief. On Tuesday, he finds a big pile of dog shit in his mailbox. He dons a pair of his rubber work gloves, removes it, and washes the inner surface clean. Someone will want to use that mailbox after he's gone. On Wednesday, he goes to Food Town to pick up a few final supplies, including a steak he plans to eat on Friday night as a goodbye dinner. He's not in the market for long, and when he comes out, the 2 back tires of his truck are flat. At least they're not punctured, he thinks, but probably just because whoever did it wasn't carrying a knife. He calls Jesse because Jesse's number is in his contacts, and he can't think of anyone else who might have helped him. Jesse says his dad left a lot of stuff when he ran out on his family, and one of those things was a Hossbell tire inflator. "Give me 20 minutes, he said. While Danny waits, he stands beside his truck and collects dirty looks. Jesse arrives in his beat-up Caprice, and the Tundra's back tires are good to go in no time. Danny thanks him, alarmed to feel tears threatening. "No problem," Jesse says, and holds out his hand. "Listen, man, I gotta say it again. I know you didn't kill that girl." "Thanks for that, too. How's the sawmill? I was driving by and saw you hauling lumber in a short box." Jesse shrugs. "It's a paycheck. What's up with you, Danny? What's next?" "Getting out of town this weekend. I'm thinking Netherland to start with. I'll camp out. I've got some gear and look for a job and a place." Jesse sighs. "Probably for the best, the way things are. Shoot me a text when you get someplace." He gives Danny a shy look that's all 17. "You know, stay in touch." "I'll do that," Danny says. "Don't cut off any fingers at that mill." Jesse flashes a grin. "Got the same advice from my mom's. She says I'm the man of the house now." On Thursday, most of his stuff packed and ready to go, the trailer looking nude somehow, he gets a call from Edgar Ball while he's drinking his first cup of coffee. Ball says, "I have bad news, good news, and really good news. At least I think it is. What do you want first?" Danny sets his cup down with a bang. "Did they catch him? The guy who killed her?" "Not that good, I'm afraid," Ball says. "The bad news is that it's not just Plains truth anymore. You're in the Telescope, the Wichita Eagle, the Kansas City Star, and the Oklahoman, along with your picture." "Fuck," Danny says. "The good news is the picture they're running has got to be 10 years old. You got hair down to your shoulders and a biker stash. Looks like you're standing in front of a bar, but I might only think that because you're holding up a bottle of beer in each hand. Probably the Golden Rope in Kingsman before I married Margie. I used to do a lot of drinking there. I think it burned down." "Don't know about that," Ball says cheerfully, "but that photo doesn't look anything like you now. You ready for the best news? Lay it on me." It came from a friend who's a clerk in Troop F of the Highway Patrol. That's in Ketchie near Wichita. I used to date the lady in question, but that was in another life. She knows you retained me. She called last night and said Frank Jalbert is taking a leave of absence. Rumor is he's going to retire. Danny feels a big grin break over his face. It's the first real one since he woke up after that fucking dream. Jalbert has haunted his thoughts. Not even talking to Stevie can get the inspector entirely out of his mind. He reminds Danny of some animal, maybe a wolverine that supposedly won't unclamp its jaw from whatever it's bitten even after it's dead. That really is good news. Want to go out to Dabney's to celebrate? Big breakfast. I'm buying. Dabney's is 2 towns over and should be safe enough, especially if the picture the newspapers are running is from the days when Danny wanted to look like Lonesome Dove Peverett from Foghat. Sounds good. I might bring a friend, the kid I used to work with. But Jesse says he can't as much as he'd like to. He punches in at 8. Also, my mom was pretty mad that I went out to help you yesterday. I told her you didn't do what they were saying, and she said that didn't matter because I was a young black man and you were, well, you know. A white man accused of murder, Danny says. I get it. Well, yeah, but I'd go anyway if I didn't have to work. I appreciate that, Jess. But your mom's probably right. He goes out to Dabney's. Ball is there. They order huge breakfast and eat every bite. Danny offers to split the check, but Ball won't hear of it. He asks Danny what comes next for him. Danny tells him of his plan to go to Colorado to be near his brother, who's on the spectrum but has a gift of a psychologist who examined him in his late teens called global recognition. Basically, he sees where everything is. They talk about that for a while. Got something in mind? Ball says as they leave the restaurant. I've been thinking about it ever since our first go-round with that hairball Jalbert. But then I got reading the comments in the Eagle and the Telescope, and I thought, yeah, maybe, might work. I have no idea what you're talking about. What comments? I guess you don't read them. It's the equivalent of letters to the editor in the old days. After you finish reading the story, you can comment on it. There are lots of comments on the stories about you. Hang 'em fast and hang 'em high, Danny says. There are some like that, sure. But you'd be surprised how many people believe you actually did dream where the body was. Everyone, well, those that believe you, I mean, has a story about how their grandma knew the propane was going to explode and got everyone out of the house, or that the plane was going to crash so they took a later flight. Those are premonitory dreams, Danny says. He's done some reading. Not the same. Yes, but there are also comments from people who dreamed the location of a lost ring or a lost dog, or in one case, a missing kid. This woman claims she dreamed a neighbor boy fell down an old well, and there he was. It's not just you, Danny. And people love stuff like that, because it gives them the idea that there's more to the world than we know. He pauses. Of course, there are also people who think you're full of shit. That makes Danny laugh. At Danny's truck, Ball says, okay, so here's what I'm thinking. It might be a way to get a little money, but that's really secondary. It would be a way to fight back. You're thinking, what? Filing a lawsuit? Exactly. For harassment. Someone hucked a brick at your trailer, right? Right. Dog shit in your mailbox? Let the air out of your tires? Pretty thin, Danny says. And I thought cops were protected from that sort of thing. Jalbert may retire, but he was a cop in good standing when he came after me. Ah, but he planted drugs on you, Ball says. And if we can get the cop who rousted you in court and under oath, can we go back to your trailer and talk about it? I mean, what else have you got to do? Not much, Danny admits. Sure, I guess we could talk about it. He drives back to Oak Grove with Ball behind him on his Honda. Danny pulls up at his trailer and sees someone sitting on the concrete block steps, head down, hands dangling between his knees. Danny gets out of his truck, closes the door, and for a moment just stands there, struck by déjà vu. Almost overwhelmed by it. His visitor is wearing a high school leather jacket. Where has he seen that before? Ball's Honda Goldwing pulls up behind the truck. The kid stands up and raises his head. Then Danny knows. It's the kid from the newspaper photo, the one standing in front of the hearse and behind his grief-stricken parents. Bastard. You killed my sis, the kid says. He reaches into the right pocket of his leather jacket and brings out a revolver. Behind Danny, the Goldwing shuts off and Ball dismounts. But that's in another universe. Whoa, son, I didn't. That's as far as he gets before the kid fires. A fist hits Danny in the midsection. He takes a step back, and then the pain comes, like the worst acid indigestion attack he's ever had. The pain goes up to his throat and down into his thighs. He gropes behind him for the door handle of his Tundra and can barely feel it when he finds it. His legs are getting loopy. He tells them not to buckle. Warmth is running down his stomach. His shirt and jeans are turning red. "Hey!" Ball shouts from that other universe. "Hey, gun!" No shit, thinks Danny. With his weight to pull it, the driver's door of the Tundra swings open. Danny doesn't fall where he stands only because he opened the window on the way back from Dabney's. The morning air was so cool and fresh. That seems like another lifetime. He hooks his elbow through the window and around the doorpost and pivots like a stripper on a pole. The kid fires again, and there's a plung sound as the bullet hits the door below the open window. "Gun! Gun!" Edgar Ball is shouting. The next bullet goes through the open window and buzzes past Danny's right ear. He sees the kid's cheeks are wet with tears. He sees Althea Dumfries standing on the top step of her trailer. Fanciest one in the park, Danny thinks. Crazy what goes through your head when you're shot. She appears to be holding a piece of toast with a bite out of it. Danny goes to his knees. Pain in his abdomen is excruciating. He hears another plung as another bullet strikes the Tundra's open door. Then he's all the way down. He can see the kid's feet. He's wearing Converse sneakers. Danny sees the gun when the kid drops it on the ground. Ball is still yelling. Ball is bawling, he thinks. And then the world slides into darkness. He comes to on a stretcher. Edgar Ball is looking down at him, eyes wide. There's dirt smeared on his cheeks and forehead. He's saying something. It might be, "Hang in there, buddy." But then the stretcher bumps something and the pain explodes. The pain becomes the world. Danny tries to scream and can only moan. For a moment there's sky, then a roof above him, and he thinks it might be an ambulance. How'd it get here so fast? How long was I out? Someone says, "Little pinch, and then you'll feel better." There's a pinch. Darkness follows. When it goes away, he sees lights sliding by above him. It's like a shot in a movie. A loudspeaker calls for Dr. Broader. "Dr. Broader, stat," it says. Danny tries to speak, tries to say, "Is it the good doctor, the one on TV?" Just a joke. He knows better. But all that comes out are a few muffled sounds because he's got some kind of mask over his mouth and nose. Doors bang open. There's brighter lights, green tile walls. He supposes it's an operating room, and he wants to say he doesn't know if he can afford an operation because he lost his job. Hands hoist him, and oh, Jesus Savior, it hurts. There's a pinch, and darkness follows. Now he's in a bed. Has to be a hospital bed. There's lights, but not the cruel "we're going to cut you open" light shining down in that green room. No, this is daylight. Margie, his ex, is sitting by his bed. She's all dolled up, and Danny knows that if she dressed up for him, he's probably going to die. His midsection is stiff as a plank. Bandages, maybe, and there's an IV hanging on a hook, and he thinks if they're putting stuff into it, maybe I'm not going to die? Margie asks, "How do you feel, Dano?" Like in the old days when they still got along, like, "Book 'em, Dano." And he tries to answer, but he can't. Darkness. He opens his eyes, and Edgar Ball is sitting by his bed. No dirt on his face, so he must have cleaned up. How much time has passed? Danny has no idea. Close call, but you're gonna pull through, Ball tells him. And Danny thinks, that's what they all say. On the other hand, maybe it's the truth. Good thing you got behind that truck door. If he'd been shooting a larger caliber gun, the bullets would have gone right through, but it was a .32. Kid, he manages. Albert Wicker, Ball says. Yvonne Wicker's brother. I knew that, Danny tries to say. Fired 3 or 4 times, dropped the gun, walked right past me. Went out to the street and sat down on the curb and waited for the cops. In a movie, I would have tackled him, but the truth is I face-planted beside my motorcycle at the first gunshot. Sorry. Okay, Danny says. You okay? Thanks for saying that. We got a real suit now, Danny. Soon as you're better. Danny tries to smile. He closes his eyes. Darkness. Is it Jesse next time or a dream? They're giving him a lot of dope, so he can't be sure. But he's positive, almost positive, that he sees a dark brown hand over his white one. Next time he surfaces, it's Ella Davis. He's a little stronger, and she looks a little younger in faded jeans and a boat neck tee. Her hair is down, and she's smiling. Danny, are you awake? Yes, a bear croak. Water, is there... She holds a glass for him. There's a bendy straw sticking out of it. He drinks, and it's heaven on his throat. Danny, we got him. The kid? His voice a little stronger. I think Edgar told the cops. Not the kid. Him. The man who killed Yvonne Wicker. Are you getting this? Do you understand what I'm telling you? Yes. Does he feel relieved? Vindicated? He can't tell. He's not even sure how badly he's hurt or if he'll ever really be well again. What if he has to spend the rest of his life shitting into a bag? He's confessed, Danny. Confessed to Wicker and 2 others. Cops in Illinois and Missouri are looking for the bodies. All right, Danny says. He's very tired. He wants her to go. I went to Mass and prayed for you. It helps if you believe, Danny says. He feels her take his hand, her skin cool on his. He thinks he should tell her he doesn't blame her, but the very idea of blame seems pointless right now. He turns his head, floats away. Darkness. We're going to end it there today. Wow. We went from nothing to everything. But we're not done yet, folks. There's still a lot to this story, which I find hard to believe. Danny got shot. He's going to pull through. Great. And apparently while he was shot, we still don't know exactly how long he was out for, but it must have been a while to be able to find the real murderer and him confess to not only Yvonne, but 2 others. That's 3. So he must have been out for a long time. But there's still more to this story. Why? How? I guess we'll have to wait until next Thursday. Thank you guys so much for listening to or watching Turn the Page Thursday. Till next time. Bye.